Hello guys, the World Cup is here and New Zealand have started it off with a bang. A 9-wicket win over England. I think all the anger they had after the 2019 World Cup bottled and it all came out in one go, and they've completely decimated England. For the defending champions, this is not how you want to start off a World Cup defensive campaign, but it's gone horribly wrong and pear-shaped for England, and they will have to bounce back from this. So let's take a deep dive into the game and see how did New Zealand achieve this monumentous victory, a 9-wicket chasing down in just 36 overs. I'm stuttering to say these words because it's an unprecedented victory. So New Zealand won the toss. Latham, I think, fantastic captain, and even though Bolt wasn't really good in his first couple of overs, he got his rhythm back. So props to Tom Latham for sticking with Trent Bolt there. Matt Henry, of course, did pretty well. And the thing with England is they actually got a fairly decent start. They survived the first 5-6 overs. Everything's going fine. Only one down after 15-16 overs. A partnership is building. Joe Root, who was in fantastic rhythm, was probably the only England batsman really who looked settled at the crease, was going well, and things were going well for the defending champions at one point. However, it's those middle overs where they lost the plot. And how did they do that? Couple of reasons. Number one, Glenn Phillips, the part-time bowler. He comes on, he bowls just 3 overs and he takes 2 wickets, and then New Zealand also take him out of the attack. So to a casual watcher, you might think, what's going on? Why didn't they bowl him more? But the reason for that is, I think New Zealand just used Glenn Phillips to sort of fill up the overs as a bit of a part-time bowler. And it did pay off in the end because they didn't have to bowl out all their overs of James Neesham, who wasn't exactly having a good day out in the field. But the key point was when England saw the part-timer Glenn Phillips, they were like, okay, this is a weak bowler, we're going to attack him. And New Zealand used this tactic to lure England into a trap. England went after Glenn Phillips and they paid the price. They lost 2 wickets. Matt Henry, I think, pick of the bowlers, 3 wickets, a maiden over, only 48 runs given. That's just brilliant. Picked up the key wickets as well, got rid of the dangerous David Manan and Joss Butler, of course, the English skipper. One thing you have to say about the England side, 120 for 4, everything's not going well. Somehow they still put up a total on the board. Somehow they still scramble to 280, which is a fighting total. It gives you a chance. Of course, this pitch was way too flat, as Gautam Gambhir said before the game. 380 plus is going to be a par score. I think it was probably about right because 280 was not a par score at all. But still, England, it's good to see they gave themselves a fighting chance. And as for New Zealand's innings, I think the first thing you need to talk about is Will Young. He has the number 1, the number 3 batsmen. Both are scoring 150, 120. And in the middle of them, there's a golden duck. So I think you really have to feel for Will Young, who's probably thinking himself that he missed out on a pretty easy century. Well, a century is never easy, but still in these conditions, he could have definitely gotten a lot more runs to justify his place in the team. But still, he learned from that. Devon Conway, Rachin Ravindra, I think they just never looked back. They just got on a roll in the power play, hit those few boundaries, hit those sixes, and simply teed off. Rachin Ravindra, some of the shots he played, a strike rate of 130. Conway as well, playing at a strike rate of 125 and notching up 152 runs. It's surreal stuff. And I think it's very interesting, that it is Rachin Ravindra who's still the player of the game. And that's a fair decision because he's the one who showed the intent straight away. And I think Ravindra, indeed. Rachin, of course, is everyone saying. He was named after Rahul for Rahul Dravid and Sachin for Tendulkar. So Rahul and Sachin became Rachin. And I think he really lived up to those 2 names. So great performance from the youngster as well. For England's bowling attack, completely toothless. They could do nothing. It's the largest stadium in the world. It's Ahmedabad. It's a flat pitch. They couldn't use the pressure, couldn't create chances. And I think what they're missing a lot is Ben Stokes. Because Ben Stokes, the all-rounder, he has a knack. He always gets those wickets when no other bowler can. When you have to get a wicket against the run of play, when a partnership is budding, that's where Stokes and his elite mentality can come in and really help you get a wicket at those crucial stages, as he has done so often, and against New Zealand very, very often. So I think that's something England were deeply missing here. Joss Butler would definitely have been missing that. But still, just the removal of one player cannot justify a 9-wicket defeat. So England have a lot to think about as well. The main changes they can do, apart from praying that Stokes gets fit as soon as possible, I really don't think there's too much they can do. This is their best 11 for now. It's just a matter of execution, which they'll have to fix. As for New Zealand, James Neesham had an off day, so maybe he's someone they can look at. Maybe Lockie Ferguson, Tim Southee, Ish Sodhi, any of those players could come into his place. Although Neesham does offer you more with the bat than they do. Granted, he didn't have to do anything with the bat today, but that's due to Conway and Rachin Ravindra's brilliance. So I think that's all from today's game. Cracking game to start off the World Cup. Not because it was a thriller, it absolutely wasn't, but just because it sets the tone. Couple of things here. Number one, pitches are generally going to be really flat in India. Last time the World Cup came 2019, we were all expecting flat pitches. They weren't flat pitches at all, and we saw a lot of 250, 260 totals being enough to win games. Here, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. Here, I think anything below 300, generally speaking, apart from maybe the Chennai pitch or maybe the Delhi pitch as well, is going to be really hard to defend. So that's something teams need to work on. Secondly, the crowd. I think that was simply disappointing. A crowd of 13,000, 14,000 for a World Cup game. Granted, it's a weekday. Granted, India are not playing. Granted, it's in Ahmedabad, which is maybe not as busy a city as Mumbai or Chennai or Kolkata. I don't care, you can't have just 13,000 people, man. It's a World Cup game, it's the World Cup opener, your home World Cup India after 12 long years. So, it was a bit disappointing to see, I'll be frank. However, I do hope with the coming games, maybe the excitement will rise and we're going to see more fans. But the Ahmedabad stadium is just so big, I think even if there's 30,000 fans, it'll still feel empty. So that's something we'll have to get used to. But generally, as far as the cricket is concerned, great game. Really excited to be back here at the Cricketing Hour. Really excited to be back watching the World Cup. Can't wait for tomorrow. Take care, guys. Allah Hafiz.